All right, the moment we have all been waiting for, lesson 4, the disputing process, which really is what we've been doing. This is all a part of the process. But this is the week where we are going to send out your dispute letters. Now, I usually have a ton of materials that I go over for this one. But here in a later lesson, we're going to go into other letters and other types of disputes. But what we want to do is we've got this previous list that we put together of all of our items and, of course, what was inaccurate. And so at this time, what we're going to do is list all accounts that are inaccurate. Now, it's up to you, really, to determine what you feel is inaccurate. By now, I believe you have figured out a way, or you've seen something in these items that are listed as being inaccurate. Now, I'm going to put this out there. There are items that you may believe are completely accurate that may still be unable to be disputed. If a company isn't going to step up to the plate and take a swing, then that item isn't verifiable. So really, through law, that's how the item would come off. So let's say a little birdie told me, this company is unable to verify any items right now. A big company on the news, they can't verify. People are going wild. I would verify that. I would dispute that item because law says they've got to be able to verify that. There's a process that they've got to go through. If they're unable to do that, the item is unverifiable. So you've got to ask yourself the question, what is something that I can have removed? Now, when I talk to people from older generations, it's often and common that they have a belief that certain items belong on their reports. I always find that very interesting because I don't feel any of my information, unless it's positive and it's going to help me, should even be on there. Is that legal? Is it unethical thinking? It's really not. I don't want, it's not an us against them thing. It's not like we're going to rise up in anarchy or anything like that. But you are here to clean up your reports, and we're putting these matters up to be tested. And if they can't be tested, trued, and verified, the item's got to come off. That's just a part of the process. Those are the rights that are given to us. So my personal feel on it is that, an item, it should be able to pass the test. And how else will you know that unless you actually do so? So, get the addresses for everybody that you need. You're going to have a lot of addresses and contact information at the very back of your credit report as well. Or you can get that stuff online. We already had the PDF, from lesson 1 with the 3 credit bureaus. And so if you don't already have that, go back and get that printed off. Now, in writing a basic dispute letter, I'm going to split this screen here a little bit so we can cover that. Now, before we go into the letter, just really quick, we've got this great PDF here on 5 reasons your credit score might drop randomly. And this is a great thing to pay attention to because it might happen. But again, don't be alarmed. It's not a bad thing. If you had a 690 and removing an item brought you down to a 650, that would be something to worry about. But typically, we don't see that happen with higher scores. Usually, when a score just completely disappears or drops, somebody's already in a very poor category. It's not something that you really need to care about. This whole process together is going to bring your score up. So if your your credit muscles get sore, don't think that your body's falling apart. Just know that you're getting tougher. And that's how I want you to look at a slight drop in your score if you remove negative items. The reason for that is because you're eliminating a little bit of your credit history, which is 35% of your score. We're going to cover those things in more detail later on, but that's why. So here we printed off a dispute map. Last week I already started talking about some of these things. Dispute with credit bureaus first, dispute with creditors, collection agencies. It puts this into a form that you can visualize. This is a beautiful thing. This is the kind of form like the, what's the name of the form? The one where I had you list the credit items so you can start keeping track of the rounds that you go through. These are the kind of forms that are going to go viral all over the internet. And so you'll probably see this again somewhere. Our guy Jake, who really put this into its colorful prose, does a great job. So here is a sample letter, a dispute, the most basic letter. And basic is so good. People get into the trickery of the words that they use, and they want to throw this and that. And you know what? It's not going to impress the person at the credit bureau that pulls it out. Let's just stay on point. So here it asks a bunch of information. You want to be true and accurate with your name, your information, all of that at the beginning here, that intro, all those in those brackets. Now, if you have an address there that's new, the credit bureaus may send a letter back to you saying that you need to send verification of your new address. But that should not deter them from continuing their investigation. If it does, you can follow up with and chastise them on that, make that a matter of record. You know, keep them in line. They'll take advantage of you if they can, because they know that we all don't have thousands of bucks to hire an attorney to go sue, and they write on that. That's why we have a lot of issues with inquiries, and why I pushed that to a later lesson than early on, because there's just I feel that there are some industry-wide issues that we're dealing with inquiries. You know, I've done research abroad everywhere on getting inquiries removed, and I've tried them all, and we still run into some snags there. A letter for getting inquiries off is very similar. Any letter that you write is pretty much going to be this format right here. So you want all this intro info. Here at the beginning, you just want to keep it simple. I'm writing to dispute, and what you basically want to say in the body of a letter is, here's the item, give them the name of the item, the account number, name and account. Really, those are the two most important things. That you believe it's inaccurate, and list why. But when you list the why, make sure you're not verifying that the item does belong to you. Don't say, this is my negative item. Don't say, I had that account for 3 years. Don't say anything that can be used against you, okay? And then what you want done. You may say, I just want this corrected, or I want this change made. Or what we're really getting at, and my all-time favorite, is deleted from my credit report. That's why we're here. So 90% of the letters, that's what you're going to request. But again, I want to teach you how to write a business letter in the way that it needs to be done. These are very much, they're live organisms. That's one reason why my business letters in college were always used as the example on how to do things correctly, because I know how to stay very professional, but get a smile on somebody's face if I need. Same way I would do a memo for the company. And then you can enclose proof or copies or anything else. I'll be honest, for clients, I send letters more like this, but when I do it for friends and family, I take out here's the report it was on, or I don't send copies of the credit reports. I'm not going to waste paper sending that stuff. But if you want to do that, go right ahead. I think that's a great idea. This dispute letter is the format for even the other letters we're going to teach you how to write later on. Now, if you go into your bank because you're in default of a credit card that you fell behind on, you follow the same format you would in this letter. In fact, I've told people, you might feel silly, but take your letter in and read it to the bank manager or whoever they put you in front of, because you want to make sure everything's there, and you want to also make sure you don't say too much. But the way you talk to the bank manager is the same info that would be in this letter. And so when you're calling, you're writing letters, you're talking to people in person, you still follow the same format, always. I don't care if you're asking, if you then, go across the street to the 7-Eleven and you're getting a drink and you see a cute girl there or a cute guy and you want to ask for her number, you stick to this letter. I'm telling you, that's just what you guys do. Don't add any silly stuff that you feel that they should know, because really there's no need for them to know. Give them as little information as possible. When someone asks me, Jeremy, what do I put in a dispute letter? I ask, well, have they sent you a letter already? And when they tell me, yeah, I say, you send back to them the information they sent you. Okay? So if they sent you the name of a company and their account number and what's wrong with it, those are the same 3 things you send back. But you are now requesting that it's removed. I'm not a big fan you don't want to explain, I've had cancer, I was out of work, or I'm just not a fan of any of that stuff, especially now. Maybe later. We'll talk about some of that later on too. I know I say that a lot, but we do get to it, I promise. So that is your dispute letter. Keep it basic. The credit bureaus have 30 days to investigate the dispute. Give them that 30. 5 weeks from now, you will have all 3 of your letters back. If you don't, then there's follow-up for that. And we've explained a little bit of that already, and we'll continue to do so. But, sometimes it's not uncommon for TransUnion to write me a letter 2 weeks from now saying the item has been removed or verified. They're a lot quicker. They're better on their game. I think they're just a better company to work with. Now, Experian, on the other hand, they are going to take 30 days. They may send back a letter saying this is suspicious. We don't believe it's you. We need you to prove who you are with a social, driver's license, and a copy of your address. Go ahead and oblige. Send them that stuff, but also follow it up with a letter that you're very unhappy with them, that they are ignoring your rights, that they're in violation of code, and really just let them know they are very upset. And tell them they have 2 more weeks to finish their 30-day cycle. You're going to follow up with another letter and possibly some legal action. Follow this format for that. This is your go-to format for anything. If you want to ask the credit bureau, how many trees they have in their parking lot, you stick to the format of this letter. I know that sounds simple and silly, and it really is. And I'm probably going to get feedback from some of my associates here for giving extreme examples like that are just kind of silly. But this is it. Get those letters sent out. Remember, stick to the form that we gave you earlier on. No more than 5 in a letter. Itemize. They all go in one letter unless you're doing a second first round and they're split in half. But you can do it all in one letter, okay? There are rare circumstances where we want to split up letters at the same time, and for now, the only one you need to pay attention to is if you have 6 to 10 or even more items than that. That's where it might be a little bit more time consuming for you. But yeah, this is it. We're going to get great results. Next week, we're now going to start focusing a little bit more on your credit score and not negative items. So before we get results back from your disputes, we're going to take a really good look at your score and start getting that to come up a little bit higher before we even get these come back. And we're not going to mess with any of your negatives. We're going to deal with some more positive issues. And either way, this is some good stuff, guys, because here we are. We're in the trenches now. We're going to get some results. And results are going to vary, but no matter what, you are going to get results. And that's something I enjoy saying. So I'll see you guys next week.